So we'll be working through some hip and lower back release today and a little bit of core warm up so we don't slip in the snow. So we'll start in the supported bridge pose using the one block. So as you lower yourself onto your mat, make sure your ball is close by because we'll use it afterwards. And then take your block with you. So the block is going to go under your waist or just under your hips, right about here. So you can slide it under your, just under your sits bones. Right about where the top of your pants would go if they were not high-waisted pants. But find a place for you that feels good. So you can kind of relax your lower back towards the ground. It's not going to touch the ground, but that's the idea, where your pelvis is slightly tucked under. And then take a moment to slide your shoulders down and under. And you can take your arms out to a T with palms facing up. And then adjust your neck. So the neck is long and then your gaze is at the ceiling. So the chin's not quite pointing up and it's not all the way tucked, somewhere in between. Okay, notice where your feet are. So just find your feet. Spread the feet out onto the mat. So there's space between your lower back and the mat. And as you breathe, you're thinking about relaxing and stretching that area in the lumbar spine. And what's also happening here is a subtle release of the hip flexors. And we'll just find our breath here, find your grounding. Noticing all the places where your body's connected with the mat. The toes, the heels, the backs of the hands on the ground. As you start to become aware of your breath, see if you can send your breath all the way down to the lowest part of your belly. Softening the muscles in the jaw, the eyebrows, even softening the eyelids. If you're comfortable doing so, as you lay here and breathe, connect to something you're grateful for today. Now, if you're not somebody who has lower back pain, you may consider extending your legs long on the mat. You may already know that it's not for you today, so just listening to your body. Staying as we are can have a great lengthening and release effect on its own, but you may like to extend your legs. As we stay with the breath here, maybe you can lengthen the breath a little bit. Perhaps inhaling to the count of 4 and exhaling to the count of 4. In a moment, we'll start to invite some movement. So just allowing yourself to be still for perhaps 1 or 2 more breaths here. Allow the left ear to come over to the left side. So stretching out the right side of the neck. Adjusting the head however you need to make that more comfortable. Holding here for a breath. With the head turned to one side. When you're ready, take it to the other side. Right ear comes over to the mat, adjusting your head however you need to. Sometimes I need to pick up my head and take it to one side a little bit to allow for more space. As you breathe here, sticking with that breath, allow it to come all the way down to the pelvis. Becoming aware of any areas you might be clenching or gripping. See if you can soften. And in your own time, taking your head from side to side. Just massaging out the back of the head on the mat. Pausing at any of the parts where you feel a little bit of added tension and holding it there. When you've finished up with that, taking the head back to center, coming there in your own time, whenever you finish both sides. If your feet are extended, just place your feet back on the mat. If you need to adjust the block at all so it's more comfortable, take that time now. And then we're going to take one knee towards the chest and then the other. So if you feel like the block is going to slip away if you do that, perhaps just take a moment to slide the block up your back just a teeny bit. And then bring the knees into the chest. So the block is like a wedge, just keeping it there. We're going to take the hands towards the big toes, coming into happy baby. Baby might not be that happy just yet, so in your own time, you could grab your ankles if you can't reach your feet. You grab your toes, you grab your feet, wherever you can grab onto. So the knees are coming towards the outer edges of your body. Holding here for a breath. See if you can relax into this for a breath. We'll take the knees together ever so gracefully. Grab onto one knee, your right knee perhaps, and then extend the left leg long. Take your time for it to find its way all the way down to the ground. Maybe just the heel comes down. Holding here for a breath. We'll just circle the right ankle while it's free. Add a little lubrication to the ankle. Pointing and flexing that foot. And then when you're ready, we'll switch sides. Bringing that knee all the way back in. And then slowly extending the right leg. Nice control. Whew. Perhaps you notice that stretch in the hip flexor of the leg that's extended. As you hug that knee in, we can start to circle the ankle. Crack, crack, crack. Circle the other way. And then pointing and flexing. Notice what the chin is doing. So I just found my chin quite tucked. So I'm going to untuck it, create a little space for the front of my neck. Okay, once you finish with that, we're going to release that foot and bring both knees to meet in the middle. So the shins are parallel to the ground. Again, if you feel like your block is slipping, you can kind of shimmy it up a little bit. A little fat dangling here. Okay, so we're coming into the dead bug pose to warm up the core. So you're going to tuck the tailbone under slightly just to engage the core. Now you can add the arms too if you'd like, or we can stick with just the legs for now. And I'm going to talk as though you're adding the arms just so I don't get confused. We're going to drop the left heel towards the ground and the right arm comes above the head. So you can keep your legs bent. And then the one leg stays in the air, yes. As you exhale, they all come back to center. Yeah, so your legs are kind of making half of a square. And exhale, you're going to bring it back in. So even though I can't hear you, you really use that exhale to bring it back in, and that will fire up the deepest muscles of the core. If you wanted to make this more challenging, you could straighten the legs or straighten the leg that's going down. And it'll just add more of a stretch to the hip flexor, which might be nice or it might be too much for today. So slow and controlled, trying to keep the hips still, gazing at the ceiling, and then staying with that breath. These are the don't fall in the snow muscles. They saved me today. I just about slipped. Well, I did slip, but I didn't fall. Oh. Staying with that breath, nice control. Let's go for 2 more on each side because those are looking really nice and controlled. Doing anything you need to do for your body to adjust. You need to take a break to reset, just to find the breath, because the breath is what really brings the muscles into it. I took an hour-long yoga class, and she didn't mention the breath once, and we were doing some pretty intense things, I thought. But it's so easy to just go into your back or your hips if you're not really focusing on your breath. Okay, that seems like 2 more on each side. Let's hug the knees into the chest. Oh, give them a little squeeze. As the knees are into the chest, let's try that happy baby one more time. So I'm sliding the hands, the outer edge of my legs. I'm going to take the arms to the inside. Makes it a little easier. Grab onto the big toes or whatever you can grab onto, maybe the shins or the ankles. And then let the knees fall open. While you're here, one big breath into the groin. Let it release, soften. Okay, I'm going to let my feet come back down to the mat, nice, slow and controlled. Knees stay bent. And then this is the funny part. We're going to slide the block away. Slowly lower the lower back to the ground. So let your hips come back to the mat. It's going to feel, maybe it's going to feel like the block is still there. So let's just hold here for a moment. And then hug the knees into the chest again. You're going to rock out the lower hips, the upper hips, just massaging them onto the mat. It might feel a little bit tender because it's been on stretch for the last 10 minutes. Just slowly rocking from side to side. You can start to invite your balance in a little bit, maybe rocking just a little bit further out to one side. Right before you kind of flop to one side, bring it to the other side. So working with that control as we massage up the lower back. One more time on each side, nice and slow. As you make it back to center, we'll grab onto the right knee once more, extend the left leg long. Want to make sure the lower back's okay before we move on. We'll give it one more stretch here. Point those toes, flex the feet. Pointing and flexing both feet. Warming up the Achilles. And when you're ready, switch sides. Once that heel is all the way away, pointing and flexing. Two more. And then we'll take both feet to the mat. We have to reverse the pose. So we're reversing what we just did. I'm just going to take a moment to adjust my hips. I'm going to lift them up and then kind of shimmy them away. Adjust the shoulders again. Place them down the spine. You can place your arms into cactus this time just to change up the arms. Feet are connecting to the mat. Toes are spread. And then whenever you're ready, take a nice big inhale. Expand through the belly. As you exhale, you're going to tuck the tailbone under and start to lift your hips up. So maybe they're just a little bit lifted at first. If you need to slide the heels further away from your bum to make more space, go for it. If you feel anything in your knees, it's okay to feel a little bit, but if it's uncomfortable, you can take your feet a little bit wider. We're going to continue with that. Exhale to lift, inhale to lower. Nice and slowly, being tender with the spine. Let it come all the way back down before we lift. Tuck the tailbone under before we lift. It's kind of like a scoop and lift. Let all of the exhale come out at the top. So once your hips are in the air, really squeeze out that exhale, then lower down. We'll do 3 more in your own time. Nice control, everyone. See if you can keep the weight even in your feet. So it's interesting to note where we connect with our feet. This bridge pose, or these bridge rolls, connects with the core and pelvic floor muscles. So the pelvic floor muscles keep you from falling over. They're really good for balance. And so once you're at the top, if you're really connecting to that exhale, the pelvic floor muscles are engaged. And then at the bottom, when you really soften and inhale, we're making sure that we're stretching out the pelvic floor muscles. Oof, that feels like enough. Whenever you're finished your last one, we'll meet with hips on the ground. And we'll grab onto that ball. So knees are bent, feet are on the ground. Find your ball, hopefully it hasn't rolled away. So I'm going to take my ball in the right hand. And then I'm going to place it between my hip and my sits bone. So kind of like the meaty part of the glutes off to the corner. And from here, finding a bit of a rock here. So I'm going to rock on the ball. The ball's not on my bones. It's in between the bones. So this might be enough sensation. If it rolls away, you can have to put it a little bit closer to center. Ooh, finding that sensation. So I'm sure you can find it on your own. If you wanted to increase sensation, What you could do is take the right ankle over the left knee and then put the ball in there. So you're adding a bit of stretch with your leg and then the stretch with the ball. Hands are wherever you need them to be to support you. And we're just finding those happy, crunchy rainbows. Whew. It's always interesting how tight the glutes are sometimes without realizing. Okay, we'll come to stillness on a place, like find a part of tension where that ball goes, where it's bearable tension, it's not too much, and we're gonna hold it there. So if you're holding and it's too much, find a different spot and you're welcome to release the ball at any time, but we'll stay for a few breaths here. As you breathe here, we're thinking about melting the glute muscles over the ball. And some of my teachers in the core rehab courses have said, it's like melting chocolate over the ball. Can you soften with your breath and release? Okay, when you're ready, we'll let that side go. So I'm going to hold onto the ball, take it out, lower the hips back down. Feet are even on the ground again, and just see how each side feels. I feel like I can feel one side and the other side is asleep. I'm going to take it to the left side now. And again, choose your option. So if you want a little more intensity, if that's your thing today, you can cross the left ankle over the right knee. Create that figure four pose. Otherwise, just both feet on the mat, knees bent. Finding that point between the top of the hip and the sit bone. Starting from closer to the center and then rocking it out to this outer edge of the left hip. It's interesting that the biggest part of core rehab, or starting to engage the core again and recovering the core, is releasing the glutes. So when our core is not feeling very strong, we squeeze in the bum without even realizing. We squeeze all day to support ourselves and we shift our hips forward. And it makes our glutes really weak. And they're weak because they're tight and overworked. So if we can release them a little bit each day, they'll start to properly function again with the core. Whew. Adjust the ball whenever you need to. We'll go for 2 more little rainbows and then we'll find a place to hold. And that place is up to you. Of course, if it's too much tension, you'll just be clenching over the ball. So it's a place of just the right amount of discomfort. So I'm going to find that now. For me, it's usually the outer edge of the hip that speaks. Whew, so finding that place and then finding your breath. And I don't have to say it, but I'll say it anyways. Yoga is not pain. It shouldn't be painful. It is uncomfortable, and that's okay. See if we can stay for 2 more breaths. Adjusting or coming out whenever you need to. Last breath. Okay, release that. We'll keep the balls somewhat close by. We'll use them later when we're standing, but if they roll away, that's okay. Okay, one more time, knees into the chest, just to stretch out those glutes one more time. This time, bring the forehead to the knees. Roll your shoulders off the mat. Squeeze, 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 squeeze. Bring the shoulders back to the mat. Roll onto your side. And we'll find child's pose whenever you get there. Taking the knees nice and wide. Stretch the hips back towards the heels. We've got our blocks at the top of the mat for later. Arms out in front of you, nice big stretch. Walk the hands to one side, just off the mat. And stretch it back. Nice big breath into the rib cage. As you exhale, walk it to the other side. Pause for a nice big breath here. We'll take it back to center. And then bring the shoulders over the hands. Bring the knees back in line with the hips. As the shoulders come over the hands into your low plank, a little bit of an angle, the knees are slightly behind you. Fingers are spread nice and wide. As you exhale, wrap the elbows close to the body, nice and strong. Lower down, gazing down at the mat. Shoulders are still strong here. As you inhale, tuck the feet away from the body. Peel the upper body off the mat. Gazing down, baby cobra. As you exhale, lower down. Press into the mat. Send the hips back, child's pose. Stretch it back. As you inhale, articulate through the spine. As you bring the shoulders over the hands, wrap the elbows in. Exhale, lower down. We're going to flow like that one more time. Inhale for cobra. Exhale, child's pose. Press it back. Warming up the arms, hands, wrists. Inhale, tabletop position, coming into your cat and cow. As you inhale, drop the belly. Sit bones point towards the ceiling. And as you exhale, that scared Halloween cat, press into your hands, press into your shoulders, flex to the spine. Two more like that, just going at your own pace. Inhale, the belly lowers. Exhale, the back stretches up towards the ceiling. Last one. Coming back to neutral spine when you're ready. Tuck the toes under for a toe stretch. Sit back to your heels. You can keep your hands on the ground or just bring them up slightly. If your hands are off the ground, just making circles with your wrists. Flexing or making fists and jazz hands. Fists and jazz hands. And then a couple more circles here with the wrists. Nice, and then we'll come out of this toe stretch. Back to your heads and knees. Extend that right leg right behind you. Place it on the mat. Shoulders are strong, so press into those shoulders. Gonna take that right leg slightly behind you, so over to the left. Press into the left hand and the left knee. Right arm comes off the mat. Side plank. Yes. Let's bring the right arm back down. Bring that foot back in line so it's still straight out. And we're going to do a couple of rainbows. So tapping both sides of the mat. Tap to the right. Tap to the left. Nice control, gazing down at the mat. Core is strong. Shoulders are strong. Just lubricating the hip joint here. Okay, and then next time your leg makes it over to the left, we'll do one more side plank there. So bring that foot all the way to the left, just off the mat. Press into your left arm and left knee. Right arm comes off. Nice. Holding here for a moment. Nice strong shoulder, strong core. That leg is extended out. If you're feeling fancy, you could lift the leg up halfway. Whew, maybe not. And then bring the leg back down, bring the arm back in. Knee comes back in, slide back into child's pose, stretch it out. Bring the shoulders over the hands and exhale, lower down, the baby flow here. Inhale for cobra. Just using the back muscles of the spine here to lift yourself. Exhale, lower. Slide back into child's pose, stretch it back. And then come back to hands and knees, and we'll do the other side. The fingers are spread nice and wide, shoulders are strong. Extend the left leg long. Take it behind you, so over to the right. Right arm, right knee are staying down, and the left arm comes up. Yes. Shoulders strong. Nice. Just getting into it one time, then we'll bring the arm back down. Hips come back to level. Left leg is just straight back. Again, engage in those shoulders, arms are strong. We're going to take the leg over to the left and over to the right. And how far you go is up to your body today. So these could be little taps on your mat, listening to your body, or they could be bigger. Gazing down at the mat, pressing those shoulders in. Breathing. Go for 2 more taps on each side. Core is nice and strong. Oof, last one, and then when the foot makes it over to the right again, we'll come into that side plank once more. I like to tuck my bottom foot back slightly like a kickstand. Press into that right hand, and then left arm comes up again. Same as before. Shoulders nice and strong. Adjust any way you need to be a little less uncomfortable. And then if you wanted to lift the leg here, it's good practice for half moon. Whew. And lower the leg, release the hand, bring the hips level, slide back into child's pose once more. And we're going to take it to downward facing dog. Spread out those fingers, tuck the toes under, and send the hips back. My mat is slippery, so I'm going to bend my knees here so I don't slip away. Pedaling out one heel at a time. Only go as far as is comfortable for you. So if you're someone who overstretches their Achilles sometimes, just be very gentle here. And when you're ready, we'll bend both knees and then gaze forward through your hand. And you can walk or hop or get to the front however you need to. Inhaling, meeting in a halfway lift. Flat back. As you exhale, soften forward. Keep a soft bend to those knees. Stay here for a breath. I'm going to keep a deep bend in my knees because the backs of my legs are really tight. So really listen to your body here. We're not trying to overstretch anything. And then when you're ready, press into your heels, bend your knees, reach up to standing. Exhale the hands down through center. Happy medium here. Inhale, reach it up. Exhale, dive forward. Halfway lift, find that flat back, shoulders back. And then as you make your fingertips to the ground or towards your blocks, we'll step back with the right foot for low lunge. I'm gonna slide that foot back, drop the back knee. You can use your blocks as tall as you need to for more support. I'm gonna press into my blocks just to take some pressure off my knee. Hold here for 2 breaths. If you feel your knee on the mat too much, untuck your back toe and then you can slide your leg forward slightly off the kneecap. Whew. Okay, when you're ready, take the blocks back. So I'm going to take my hips back, walk my blocks back, and find the stretch in the front of your legs. I'm just going to point the foot up. Some people like to slide the heel away a little bit. And if you're more flexible, you could fold forward. Otherwise, just staying on those blocks and breathing. Hello, hamstrings. All right, and let's take the blocks forward. And then we'll release the blocks and press back into downward facing dog. I'm going to take my leg back first, tuck the toes, and send the bum up. Gaze forward, bend the knees, and walk to the top of your mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, reach it up. Exhale, hands down through center. Inhale, reach it up. Exhale, sit back into a chair. So send the bum back first, sit bones come back, and then bend in the knees. Teeny tiny chair. It's like for a 4-year-old. See if you can get there. And then all the way back up. We'll just do this 3 times. So as the hands come down, first send the bum back. So you're bending at the waist. Then bend through the knees. Yes. Inhale, come all the way back up. Last one, exhale, slide it down. Bum comes back first. Then the knees start to bend. Nice. All the way back up. Exhale, dive forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. This time the left leg's going to come back. I'm going to grab onto my blocks. Low lunge on the other side. So the ankle that's in front of you is just under your knee. Adjust any way you need to. This can be a shorter stance for tighter bodies. And then if you're up on your block, see if you can relax your shoulders down. Breathing here. We'll start to walk the blocks back. Send the hips back. And just start to point the front foot. And point the toes up towards the ceiling. That's usually enough to get a bit of a stretch, but if you wanted to fold over your leg, you could. One more breath here. Not my favorite position, but we can't ignore these muscles, can we? Whew. Well, I manage to most days, but here we are. And we'll walk it forward again, finding that low lunge. Nice. Release the blocks. Place the hands on the mat, send the leg back, and then tuck to downward facing dog. Bend the knees, gaze forward, hop to the top of your mat or step. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, reach it all the way up. Exhale, hands down through center. So for those who want to end at 10:15, I'm just going to do a ball rollout for the feet for everybody. And once you're done, that class will be done. But I'll keep on for the hour. Let's grab the massage ball. And if you're an off balance person today, have a wall nearby. Otherwise, you should be good. The ball is just going to come under your right foot. Yeah. And we'll start with the ball of the right foot. And what we're going to do is take the foot from side to side. So just massaging out from side to side. And you can kind of shimmy it down your foot from side to side. Notice the toes often do a little dance here. I'm starting with the ball area of the foot. And then we'll start to take it from front to back along the outer edge of the foot. How much pressure you add is up to you. So tight backs always have tight feet. So if we can give the feet a little bit of love, we can also, that will relate to the back as well. We'll start to take the ball to the middle of the foot. It's going to work its way to the center of the foot as you go up and down the line. Let's see if we can give the heel a little bit of love. Or just around the heel. And now, wherever you need it, or perhaps adding more pressure depending on the ball you have. Okay, and before we switch feet, we're just going to notice how the feet feel. So I'm going to place my right foot back on the mat. And without looking at them, I'm just going to stand up nice and tall and see how they feel. And then we'll switch sides. So just noticing, one actually looks flatter than the other one now. Okay, to the ball of the left foot. Ball to the ball. And I'm going to go from side to side here to start off. I'm just going to shimmy from side to side, making it all the way towards the heel area. And then back up. And then up and down the foot. So I'm going to start with the outer edge and make my way to the center and the inner part. These toes aren't dancing. I guess my right foot is tighter. Imagine that. Slowly making my way to the inner foot, inner edge. And then a little love to the heel. Easier said than done. And then we'll let that ball go whenever you've finished. I'm just going to give it one more roll. And there we go. Let the ball roll away. Placing both feet on the mat. And just sending the hips back, coming for a little bit of a forward fold here. I'm just going to come halfway. You can come all the way down if you like. I'm going to pause here myself. Holding for a breath. Placing the arms down towards the ground, let them hang. You're in a halfway position. And then take the arms up level to the back. Yes, and then bring it back down. We'll do 5 of these. So we're engaging the wings. The wings come up. Squeeze the back muscles and let them come back down. And squeeze. And release. We've got 2 more. Squeeze, squeeze. Bring it back down. Last one. As they come down, we're going to bend the knees deep, deep, deep. Kind of sit back into that little chair and then reach the arms up to standing. So that's 45 for anybody who wants to go now, and I'll stay for 15 more. Exhale, bring the hands down to center. Inhale, bring it up. As you exhale, bring the arms down. We're going to step back with the right foot. So the legs are in warrior 2 legs. So the left toes are pointing forward and the right toes are pointing off to the side. Bend in the front knee, but keep the body center. Arms come out, palms face up. Give that back a little squeeze again. We're going to drop the back arm and just lift the top arm. So I'm gazing at the ceiling. My chest is opening towards the ceiling, but I'm keeping that deep bend in the front leg. Whew, yes. As you exhale, bring the arms back to a T. Now the back arm, so legs will stay the same. The back arm is going to come to meet the front arm. And then I'm going to pull back my arrow with that right arm. Pull it back until the arm goes back to its T. And then the arm comes all the way around to the front again. Hands come together, then pull back the bow and arrow. Last one. Arm comes all the way to the front again. Legs are strong, feet are engaged in the mat. Exhale, pull the arrow. I get to switch sides in this position. So my left feet that are pointing forward, I'm going to come so that both feet are to the short edge of the mat, yeah? And then just switch sides. There we go. So now we're on my warrior 2s on the other side now. Find that deep bend in the front knee. Oof, as much as it doesn't want to be found. Drop the back arm, lift the top arm, exalted warrior. As you exhale, come back to that T. Find your bow and arrow. So the back arm, the left arm is going to come all the way to the front and pull back. 3 times at your own pace. Notice how the bend in the knee tries to sneak away. Try to keep it. Just for 1 more. Last pull back here. Was that the last one? I feel like 1 more. And pull it back. Okay, feet are going to come to face the front again so that you're in a wide-legged stance. Yes. Bring the heels in, knees out. Sit back. Yes. Arms up into cactus. Sit back, sit down a little bit. Oof. Exhale, bring the hands together. Bring them up. Go for 3. Bring them out. Last one. Squeeze. And open. Straighten the legs. Bring the arms up. Take a little break. Exhale. Bring the hands down through center. Bend down. Squat it down. Open the arms up. Come up. Oof. Exhale. 2 more. Bum is back. Trying to keep that weight back. Inhale. Come up. Last one, nice and strong. Bum comes back. Hold here. Pulse. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Release. Ooh, my legs are shaking. Let's just pedal out the feet. Awesome. Okay. Inhale all the way up. Exhale, dive forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Step back to downward facing dog. Bend your hips back. If you like pigeon, we're coming into pigeon. If pigeon's not for you, we'll come into a seated position, into that figure 4 position. So from here, I'll lead you into pigeon and then I'll demonstrate the other. Right leg comes up to the ceiling. What? And then bring the knee. Right knee comes in and behind the right hand. Now, if it didn't get there, we'll just get there however you need to. And then if you have your block, you can slide the block under your right sit bone for a little more support. Some people love pigeon, so I have to offer it. There it is. I love it too. But if it's not for your knee or your body, your other option, which is the same position, just less pressure, is here. Right ankle over left knee. But I think we're all in pigeon. Yeah, just listening to your body today. So here, or similar thing, but down on the ground. Awesome. Okay, so you might like to keep your arms up if you're in pigeon, or you might like to melt forward. Perhaps there's another block you could slide under your forehead. And we'll stay here for a few breaths. If you're in the facing down pigeon, just notice what it feels like to bring your hips to center. So often we slide our hips to one side. See what it feels like to wiggle them back to center. Staying with that breath. One more breath here. You're going to switch sides. You can switch however you need to, or if you want to switch the way you came into it, we'll place your hands back on the mat. Tuck your back toe under. Press into your hands, and we're going to take that leg back into downward facing dog. Otherwise, you'll switch however you'd like to. If you're following along with me, we'll stick the left leg up to the air. Whew. Left knee comes behind the left wrist. And then really flexible people will have their shin parallel to the top of the mat, but I haven't seen that in years, so it's just something to note. And then find your pigeon. Back leg is straight behind you. Perhaps sliding a block under the hip of the knee that is bent. And then perhaps holding down onto your forearms. Using your breath to will those muscles to soften. Softening that breath, creating that whooshing ocean sound at the back of your throat. It's almost like the beginning of a snore without the snore. Or some people say like fogging up a mirror with your lips closed. Tapping into that sound also taps into the parasympathetic nervous system. Just connecting to those rest and digest hormones. Start to come out of this pose whenever you're ready. And we'll come into Shavasana. You can either take it seated or on your back, or really however you like, your body, your rules. If you're following along with me, I'm just going to even out my side by coming back into downward facing dog. And then I'll make my way into seated today, but whichever way you like is best. I'm going to stretch out my down dog one last time. And then come into seated or on your back. Staying with that soft breath. I'm going to sit on my block so that my legs can relax. Whether you're seated or on your back, just relaxing those shoulders away from your ears. Perhaps allowing the eyes to close if you feel safe doing so. And just notice where the breath is going. Notice the energy that's moving around the body. What does that feel like? Seeing if you can find that whooshing inhale sound. Perhaps inhaling and exhaling to the count of 4. Reconnecting to that thing you're grateful for today. Just using that as a tool to get out of the monkey mind, the to-do list, whatever might be trailing through the head. Staying with that soft breath for a few more minutes. Allowing yourself just to be fully supported by the mat beneath you. Noticing all the places where your body's connecting. If you're seated and you like a little more movement to help you relax, you can always come into the neck, taking it from one side to the other. Pairing it with your breath. We're preparing to finish our class. If you're on your back and you want to stay for longer, I can just close the meeting. Otherwise, we'll come back up to seated. Sitting up nice and tall, and we'll take the arms up. Exhale, bring them down through center. I'm just closing our practice. Thank you, everybody. Happy December. We'll see you on Tuesday.